people. So I wasn't sure I was going to record a video today, and then because it brings me so much joy, I decided to go ahead. But there's a couple of things that I want to make mention of that have filled me over the past couple of days. And one is I got off of a call today, two calls actually. I had two calls today. I was um, both of them via Zoom. One was with an individual, and one was as part of a larger group. But during both of those calls, there was this, what is the word I'm looking for? Well, there was this validation. Um, and that when you are doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, when you are doing the work that like God has called you to do, or if you're walking in your purpose, whatever you want to name it, right? When you are doing that, like you feel it, right? You feel that thing. Um, or maybe I just feel that thing. But so I have a coach, a person that I'm coaching right now, and was on the call with her and helping her to see that she's got this, right? And it's this idea, and I'm gonna do a video around imposter syndrome, just because lots of people suffer with it. I have suffered with it. But in talking with her, there was this idea that this like she knows that she's what she's doing is what she's supposed to be doing. And that like there's just something different that happens to you when you are like walking in your purpose, when you are walking in your freedom. I'm saying your freedom, like, because I'm using that word specifically because there is such a freedom in it, such a freedom in it. And and same thing with the second call I was on, like with the larger group, people saying like they were their own hype woman and they got something. It's like, and oh, and somebody said this thing around some things that they maybe hadn't looked at growing up that they thought were bad things that had happened in their lives. And we're not saying bad things don't have bad things happen. But what she was saying that she is choosing to look at those things and find what does she need to learn out of those things? Like, what is the good that she can bring out of that? And I'm just like this. I got off that call, those two calls, like so freaking hyped, which sometimes is my norm, but I'm like so hyped. And I'm just thinking, like, oh, totally makes me think about. So last year, I spoke at a conference for the company that I had been working at. So I spoke at a conference, and this was a big deal for me personally because it was probably the largest group that I've spoken to. There's about maybe 150 people in the room, and yeah, let me tell you, when I say I was on. And I'm bringing that up to say it was validation for me around purpose, around what are you supposed to be doing, like, or what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like on this break right now exploring, and I always just felt, even in these two calls I had today where I was excited for what other people were seeing in themselves, right? I get excited over that. But I also got my own validation out of both of those calls around, oh my gosh, like when you feel like when you're on and it's like, yes, God, I feel you. Like, ooh, when you just feel that God is moving through you. Oh, child, there is nothing like that feeling. And I really want, um, man, I want everybody to be able to experience that, right? To experience that feeling of walking in freedom. of making decisions and making moves, but listening for God, right? I'm on these calls like with this coaching client I have. Oh, it's my first coaching client. Super excited about that. But being on that call, and sometimes I not some not sometimes. Thank you, Father. Not sometimes. I am on that call saying, God, give me the words. God, give me the words. Yes, I've got some training. Sure, I do. But there's nothing like letting God direct you and letting God give you the words and being open to hearing from Him. Sorry, I feel like I'm just all over the place in this little video. Forgive me. But there's nothing like feeling like you're hearing from Him and you're asking the right question at the right time, or you're interjecting something that the other person is like, oh, yeah, yeah. And so I think I'm saying all of it to be like, of course, again, this is unscripted. So yeah, I'm all over the place. But I'm saying all that to say, like, there is, when you find your place, oh Lord, when you find your place, and even if, because you may feel like, and I think I've said it, like, I'm about to be 60 years old. I left my job. I left my job without having another job. And I'm out here kind of like, what? What's happening? And, but within all of that, I'm still out here. God is like, let me just move you over here. Let me, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, cause what am I doing recording these videos? Sometimes I think that, like, what am I doing recording these videos? And I go, girl, keep doing it, because I feel like God is telling me to do it. And so I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to keep doing that. But it also feeds back into what I said kind of early on when I started doing these videos around this idea of like growing up wanting to be a teacher, but really didn't want to be like a um, like a primary or secondary school teacher. And in my head, growing up, that's if you wanted to be a teacher, that's what you did. And God has continually shown me and given me opportunities to be in spaces where, no, yeah, you wanted to be a teacher. That's what I have for you. It's just not going to look the way you thought it was going to look, right? And I think back, a lot of my life has been like this kind of non-traditional. I've done a lot of non-traditional things, but then what is traditional, right? Um, but you know, just just be open to hearing. Just be open to hearing from God. Be open to not being afraid to like dip a toe into something you think is for you, right? And what you think is for you. And if you're not sure about what that is, like, look, let me be the first person to say, I don't care what age you are. If you feel like you're not sure about what that is, that is okay. That is okay. Keep praying, whether it's God, whatever you believe. If you believe in a higher power, don't believe in a higher power, do whatever you do, right, for you to help you kind of listen and find a path and pay attention to things that you've done, whether it's in your work or your personal life, that have been like, oh, that feeds me, right? That feeds me. Like when I talk about the speaking engagement that I did last year, where I was like, oh, I am on. But it wasn't just, oh, like, oh, I'm on. I was fed from that. That filled me. That filled my very being. I was up there in front of those people and I felt like, I mean, it wasn't the first time I've done the first time I've done presentations or done speaking in front of folks, but it was, again, it was like I said, it was the largest group I've done. And but it wasn't just up there that I was knew what I needed to say and really believed, right? I believed um, in what I shared, but it was also like, yeah, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You are supposed to be in front of people, conveying that. I don't know what it's always going to be that I'm supposed to be conveying. I don't know what that's always going to look like. because that's what I was doing. And then I left that job. So I don't, you know, but, and I hope that I've said this before, I left that job and yeah, it was doing a lot of what I wanted to do, what I really loved doing. And it was teaching. The vast majority of what I was doing was either facilitating groups, small, large, coaching people, right? And I left that job, but it's not like God wasn't surprised. God was not surprised that I left that job. God was not like, whoa, what just happened? Okay. A little bit in my head, I kind of was like, what did I just do? But God wasn't surprised. God wasn't surprised by that. He's not surprised by our actions and our decisions. And and he's there, like he's there with us, and he's setting things up for us and preparing things for us. And here I am now, like doing this. And look, I know you thinking like, well, you ain't getting no money from that thing. I sure ain't. I sure am not. Yet. Maybe I just not getting money from it yet, right? Like I don't know what God has planned. I'm just trying to be obedient. That's all I'm trying to do. I feel like I'm being obedient by making these videos. I don't know. Yeah, they bring me a lot of joy, but when you're being obedient, like it can hurt sometimes. Sometimes we're obedient and we have to do things we don't really want to do. Yeah, there's that piece. But there's also the piece around God giving us things and allowing us to flourish in things that we didn't think would be possible. Look, let me tell you, if you had told me even just 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, that I would have had a role where I was speaking to large groups, where I was facilitating trainings, that I would be like recording videos, I'd have been like, girl, that ain't hardly gonna happen. That is not hardly gonna be my life. Now inside I'd have been like, oh God, I hope that's my life. Inside I'd have been excited, like, oh, I hope. But I would have told you like, no, no, that won't be for me. Because I was like, I want that too badly. So that's not gonna be for me. Mm. Oh, I feel like I want to touch on that a little deeper, a little more. So maybe I'll jot it down and record more about that tomorrow. About when we want things, but we feel like we're not deserving of them. Like it's too, like that would be too good for me. Like, oh, I really want that, but I can't really speak that. I can't tell anybody I want that. I have to act like I don't want that. We'll come back to that. I'm making a note. We'll come back to that. Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, I love y'all. I don't know who's watching, but I just want to tell you I love you. No, no, I just felt that. All right. Until next time, probably tomorrow. All right. Until next time, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I really hope you get something out of this. I hope there's one little thing you can take out of it, even though I may sometimes be hard to follow. I hope there's one little thing you can take from it. All right. All right. Thank you.